Hey Virgo, just wanting to let you know, I did your video. I'm having to redo it again. And I already did your Isis Oracle reading for the Patreon page where we go over rites, rituals, incantations, spell work, spell casting to help you manifest your fairy blessings and really harness them down into the 3D reality. So I'm just letting you know that while it is different as in terms of the cards that were there to help you work with, I have to pull another one. I've already done it, so I'm not redoing it. I'm keeping it up there for you guys. So just putting that out there. But make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you would like to get an emergency reading with me, or you would like to tip me at my for my work, you can do that. My tip link and emergency link are down in the description box down below. Same with your Patreon link as well. So just gonna let you know about that. And also my Linktree links have all of my other links. For example, the email list, all that is down there. So make sure to check down below. So give me a second, Virgo. You're the only one I have to redo as far as fairy blessings. And I was like, well, why did that happen? I uploaded it, and what happened, you guys, was that YouTube refused to post it and then deleted it. And I was like, what the heck? And then I thought it was processing, and so I deleted it. And then because I did that, the video never got up there. It was kind of depressing. So here we are, back again. So give me just a second here. I'm so sorry, y'all, because that was the only thing that set me realistically back. Other than you, I have Sagittarius, Aquarius, Capricorn, and Pisces. So, I mean, kind of a light day. It's not too bad, but still, I was like, dang it, I already did that. But I guess y'all needed a different message. I have no clue. Show me please for Virgo. Show me please for Virgo. What does Virgo need to know for their fairy blessing for the week? Oh, okay. Oh, Virgo. This card. Oh my God. Okay, this card is so cool. Because I'm a big fan of Amy Brown. These images are based on her work. And the thing is Amy Brown is really into fairy lore. In her early works, you see that this is one of them, because this is actually a representation of Morgana Le Fae, which is so funny because I love Arthurian legend and lore. And so this card tried to come out for some people, but I'm going to read from the book on this one because I have worked with this card. But I did it one time, and it was kind of a one and done quick lesson, and this one too. So this one though is a little bit different. So Virgo, give me just a second here, because I feel like maybe the other reading I did for you was meant for you to help ground. It's these are gonna give us some insight on either lessons you're learning right now or for the week, and then the Patreon page is going to have the oracle for the card that represented what you were really supposed to be working on. So maybe there's something there that you needed before I posted everything. So, but yeah, that's pretty cool. That's awesome. It's Morgana Le Fae, and it looks like these are roses. Sometimes Amy Brown has really great detailed roses. And I mean, I say sometimes because sometimes she draws them differently, but this one to me I get poppy vibes. Poppies because of the color, but I believe these are roses. We're going to take a look. Oh yeah, that's a rose. Those are wild roses too. So beautiful. This is one of my favorite cards. I actually used to have hair like this a long time ago. Very long like that. So, okay, you've got a blessing of Lithia, and you got a blessing of a safe place in the world. Now, like I said, this is based on, the actual imagery of this is based on Morgana Le Fae. So for people who do not know who that is, she is one of the most infamous Fae queens / fairy sorceresses of all time. She's a badass. And when I say she's a badass, Virgo, like, she's badass in the sense of she can cast light and dark magic. If you've ever seen The Mists of Avalon, that story is actually centered around her. Or if you read the book, because it was actually based on a book. But she is either King Arthur's lover, or they were brother and sister and they became lovers. I really don't feel like they were brother and sister in the lore, but I know in the Mists of Avalon they were. And Mists of Avalon is a very interesting perspective because it's her story, but also showing the downfall of like Arthur's rule. So what happens to Excalibur? What happens to Avalon? Why? The reason it's called the Mists of Avalon. And what goes on in Avalon too, because they talk a little bit about like magic and fae and bloodlines, but nobody really knew. So this is where it kind of, we went into that. Another episode or TV series that I really liked, and Netflix canceled it. I am appalled. Like, just between us, Virgo, I'm letting you know this because it had Morgana Le Fae in there, but I was like, I thought I was going to at least get 4 seasons out of it. And it was about Nimue, Lady of the Lake, and it was about Morgana as well, but Morgana was like a nun. So it was like before she got into magic and how she got into magic. And it's cursed. The series is on Netflix. They have season 1. There's a petition right now to bring it back. So if you guys are inclined to sign that petition, please do so, because that show was awesome. And I am just appalled that Netflix chopped that, but they won't chop like, you know, some other silly shows on there, like, not to name names or anything like that, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, I get it, they had to make room, but like, there are just some shows with Netflix that I disagree with, as to why they continued and not cursed. I'm very insulted. But the interesting part about curse is you learn a lot about like the fae, their practices, the courts, the different clans, you know, how they were before they were pretty much in another realm, what it was like for them being persecuted in this realm, which, you know, Morgana in the show ends up becoming like the widow, which I thought was really interesting because there's the widow, you know, I checked in the lore of the widow actually, and the widow legend is based on like a woman was betrothed, or it was her husband, he went off to war, and she just cried and cried and cried and cried so much that she basically cried herself into this spiritual plane where she's a death bringer, like she's a hag badger of bringing death, but that's just on the show. But like Morgana Le Fae is not necessarily associated with that. Curse kind of made her become the widow. She fought the widow and it ended up taking that power. But, you know, towards the end, like if you see at the end, one of the Skarsgård brothers is Merlin. And he does like this awesome lightning thing. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I do feel like with Morgana here, this is a very clear reminder of, you know, you need to watch how you cast. I wouldn't be having this talk with just anybody, Virgo. I'd even if it came out, I'd just let you know. Because Morgana she's badass. She is badass. Like, she knows when she casts what her intentions are. She knows, clear cut. And if she doesn't know, she goes through her cycle to go figure it out. But this is the epitome of also springtime. And I love where you don't see her as evil portrayed. You see her a little mischievous here, a little kind of tempty. And I love that she has that, like, that witch's ball right there on a cane. But I love the roses in her hair. So beautiful. I love the colors. But let's go ahead and get to the blessing of this card, because this card, like I said, I worked with it and it was like one and done. I didn't work with it long enough to really, it was like something short. It was a very short-lived lesson. I didn't have to work with it for months and weeks. Like some of these you do have to work for like months and weeks to get a message, you know, but they reveal themselves in time. That's why I say these readings go between like 1 to 3, 3 to 6 months at most. So the blessing of Lithia is the Fae gift of the midsummer energies for joy, friendship, and the flowering of life's bounty. Now, it's interesting that it's Morgana, the Morgana Le Fae from the art books of Amy Brown that is on this card. But I kind of like that because, I mean, I feel like maybe this was her as a girl before she became known to be this, like, badass sorceress that everyone fears. But that's the thing, Virgo. It's not about being feared when you use magic. Okay, magic and Fae blessings and gift, that's not what it's about. And if that's why you're here, then I'm telling you that's not the right reason for high vibrational magic, honestly. I mean, you can do whatever you want in your heart space, but you'll truly be alone the more you try to do things that are untoward with magic. And I think Morgana Le Fae's fate kind of does remind you of that. Like, it reminds you of how easy you can get caught up in following, especially in Miss of Avalon. I mean, she's a follower and she gets used, and then she gets angry and she goes away from the path and she gets tricked. It's like, you know, it's just like, it's just a shitstorm. Like, not to be like terrible with my language, but blatantly honest. Like, if you look at it and then, you know, she gets cheated out of love, she can't renege on the proposal. It's like, it's tough. You know, it's tough for her. Life is very tough for her. And with this card, it takes the blessings of the Feast of the Fairy, and they are given to encourage you to take this day and to drink down its sweetness, to celebrate your own life, and to bring a sense of being beyond day-to-day cares, to dedicate at least a portion of this day to divine acts of celebration and connection with attachment. May the blessings of the festival known as Lithia be with you this day, no matter what day or time of year it is for you, friend. For the gift of Lithia is the gift of celebrating life, living to the fullest, and resisting giving in to those who would ask you to hold back and live less fearlessly. And see, she was fierce. Morgana Le Fae is fierce. I feel like, you know, they didn't say this in King Arthur, Legend of the Sword with Charlie, what's his name from Sons of Anarchy? Sorry, I forgot your name. I apologize. Sorry, dude. But, like, I just know his first name, not his last name. But y'all know who I'm talking about. Tall, handsome, blonde hair, blue eyes, you know, playing Arthur. I feel like the woman in the movie is actually Morgana. She's known as the Mage. They don't say her name is Morgana. They just call her the Mage, which is, what is a mage? A mage is a sorceress or a sorcerer. And that's all her name is. They don't say anything else. She's just the Mage. But she's pretty, like, you know, she just tells it like it is. That's why I like that character so much. You know, he's like, they have to do a ritual, you know, and there's a snake involved. And he's like, I don't like snakes. And she's like, nobody likes snakes. Get over it. You know, like, that's why I love her. I love her for that. The way they wrote the Mage. But she has truth in what she's saying. So, again, there's that, like, fierce kind of energy. But, yeah, I really think that is Morgana. Some people call her Morgane. Sometimes she's associated also with war, usually before a major battle, especially in Celtic lore, Welsh lore. She's known in certain circles to show up and be an omen of bad luck to certain warriors. Because she's also a goddess of death. I guess in that respect, she is a goddess of death, actually. I take that back. She is. I forgot about that myth. Well, because sometimes she's associated with the fates, and sometimes she's not. So that's where it can get tricky. But depending on how you view her and how you see her may change differently with each myth, or how you work with her energy. She will show you. But regardless, it's still always going to be fierce. And fierceness just comes from passion, Virgo. I feel like for you, since you are the 6th house and you have, you know, Aries right now, full of fierce energy, full of anger and instigation, and then heavy volume of tears and healing, because that's what Chiron's trying to do. And the sun trying to bring these happy spots of joy right now for you. It's a little intense. At least I want to say it's your 10th house or 9th house of Aries. Like, it is intense, and this passionate energy is either going to intensify or to a point that it makes things bottle up and kind of explode, or it's going to use that intensity to really shift and to move forward. So it's kind of basically up to you as to how you handle this energy. So the gift of this, of Lithia's energy, is a blessing, so that you this day comes, so that to you this day comes a celebration and a gathering with friends. If there are none on your horizon, take steps to ensure you treat yourself lovingly and well this day, and feast instead with the fairy. Oh, you could go outside and have a picnic. Eat joyously and well. Share a conversation with an old friend, a new smile, a new stranger. Say a kind word or two, unasked for, and feel the energy of the fairy pour down upon you. It is a blessing that will see you connect with flowers and the natural world and feel uplifted by interactions with nature. You will feel a part of it all, and the day will be long and good and sweet and filled with the unexpected, joyous, and kindness. The doors between the worlds will swing wide for you, fairy friend, for this is a blessing. For when you dwell in the blessing of the Lithia energy, plenty, beauty, spontaneity, love, and joy can be yours. Let the present moment expand. Let the ripeness of your life speak to you, and may you make the very most of this life you have been blessed with this day. No matter what time it is, friend, the blessings of Lithia are with you now. May you enjoy them to their fullest degree. So, Virgo, this is kind of interesting because it's like I'm talking about this, I'm reading this from the book, and it's like, oh yeah, I do remember this card. I know why it was split second for me, because I'm in an energy right now that is not, the people that I live with are not supportive of what I do. I mean, like, to the point that, let's just say I get dragged a lot, okay? Like, verbally. Even though I don't do anything, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just doing good, right? I'm doing my good, okay? And I'm putting this out there because now I'm like, oh, I know why. Because this only lasted a day. So if you're in a much higher vibrational, like, environment, and you're able to really tap into this joyful energy, and also spontaneity is huge with this card. Because I remember when I did work with it, and I went for... You know what? It's kind of like, the best way I could describe it is, if any of you have ever seen Harry Potter and that potion, the Felix potion, you know, it's a liquid luck potion. And so, like, when Harry takes it, he has these intuitive hunches about how he needs to go somewhere, and it all ends up lining in this crazy thing where he finds out about the Horcruxes. Okay, take that and apply it to your spontaneity, but use your intuition to discern what you really want to do through spontaneity. Meaning, like, if you get the thought of, you know, I really need to go to a bowling alley, but I don't know why I'd go there, but I feel like going to a bowling alley today, and go do that. It'll end up opening up doorways and gateways to either you meet someone, you just enjoy your game. Like, it takes that kind of premise of liquid luck, you know, Felix, the liquid luck potion, and it expands on that with the Fae energy, which is what I really appreciate, because that's the best way I can describe how it works. And when you're in an environment where you're able to just kind of freely go with your intuition, because it'll feel good. It won't feel bad. You won't feel hesitant. You'll be like, no, I really think I need to go there. Like, you'll sound like that. You'll be very convinced, just like Harry was in the movie. No, I really need to go to Hagrid's. You know, I don't know why. And then he runs into the professor that he needs to run into. The important part of this is to remember that if you're going to use this card for the week, don't necessarily have an end game of where you want to go. And I know that might be a little hard for you guys because you guys are the perpetual planners, you and Scorpios. But the thing is, Virgo, spontaneity isn't about planning. It's about having fun in the moment. It's about enjoying the present, making memories. That's how sometimes we make our best memories, is through this energy. Now, the funny part is like I said, you have Morgana here and this much more joyful energy, playful energy. I'd even say kind of coy here. And it's like, yeah, we all know her to be this like terrifying sorceress, but I like to think of her as a girl here before all the, just her life went to poop. You know, I like to think of it like that. I like to think of her as this way. And maybe she's trying to come through to teach you guys to enjoy spring for what it is. And see, I keep talking about spring and this card, and it's making me think of there's actually a holiday that's a Fae holiday that is actually based, it's Easter. It's about like a bunny. That there's a fairy being and a bunny, and I've got to read it again because it only came out last year about its true origins that I found this out. But it is a Fae holiday. The Fae holidays go from like St. Patrick's Day all the way to, I would say, the solstice. Or the summer solstice. And the only reason I say that is because after July, the seasons, if you notice, depending on where you live, start to turn around the last 2 weeks of July. You'll see fall start to kind of slowly make its way, very slowly. It's so slow, it's sleepy energy. And usually by August, I'm like, fall's here, and people are like, you're crazy. No, it's not. And then I'm like, yeah, it is. I can sense it. I can feel its magic in the air. And that's usually the Fae changing the seasons. You can tell about that time. So the beauty of this is you have this wonderful energy coming through for you to enjoy life, but also you have a blessing of a safe place in this world. This card I pulled when I pulled it, it was kind of just letting me know to create my own sacred space. But let's go ahead and read from the book, because that may not apply to you. Something in this message may apply differently. So it says, a blessing of safe place in the world, the fairy gift of sanctuary, a space in which you feel completely supported and loved, which is sacred space. So, oh, now I know why I had to redo this reading. Okay, I get it now, because your Patreon video with the magical rites and rituals that I suggested that came out through the deck that I used had a lot of protective cards, which I had no clue why. It wasn't making any sense. Now I know why. That's why I had to redo this reading. Okay. The fairies know what it is like to find safe place in the world, for theirs is under siege and has been such for a long time, meaning planet Earth. The fairies know how to find the little home in the forest or the garden that is growing wild, the roots of old trees and hollows beneath the sacred hills. In these places, they have grown stronger and stayed safe, and now they transfer to you part of this gift. You will now find places and spaces within the world where you will feel free to be completely yourself, where you too can grow strong and bright again, and have no need for fear. Let there be a shelter and a sanctuary for you and your soul, where you can learn what it is that you are meant to do next, and where there is no harsh words spoken, only guidance that can help ease us all into the next stage of our lives. Let the safe spaces become our homes and our workplaces, our friendships and our schools. Let the world become a safer space, and let the natural world shelter you in her turnings and showings of changes about you. Make not a fortress of space you find, but let it begin to grow in your heart, so that wherever you go, others feel safe with you, and the world changes in small but bright and beautiful ways, all as a result of the blessings of fairies, blessings of a sanctuary and safe space for you, friend. So this is sacred space. So I know I keep saying that, and some of you are like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means, Luna. Like, what does that mean? Sacred space is when we consecrate a space and we cleanse it and we clear it. Saturdays are perfect for doing this. And it's also where it's clutterless, ideally. So just FYI, I'm pointing that out because most sacred spaces have minimalist clutter. If any, it's rare, it's temporary. Sage is usually burned. Or it's a place, sacred space is different for everybody, because sometimes we don't get to have a shrine in our house, or we don't get to have an altar in our room, or a part of the house, or wherever. So creating sacred space is pretty much at your own discretion and what meets your needs. But you have to use like comfort. It's all about comfort too, because remember, this is your inner sanctuary, and I'm going to tell y'all what mine is. because the space that I live in, it's like I said, I have people come after me all the time. It's not even that. It's like they try to financially ruin me all the time. It's bullshit, right? I know it's bullshit, and I don't try to get caught up in that. But when I do, there are times where I have to take a step back. I don't do work. I don't do readings. I have hypothyroidism, so I rest. And then I'll go into my sacred space, which is, in this case, a very tiny shoebox of a closet that I organized. And I also made it like a TV room, but it's so quiet in there. It's like sensory deprivation. I can just go be in there and go into a world. And when I've had to, I actually did this and watched all of season 1 of Bridgerton, and it was like I was in that world. You know what I'm saying? Because I would, eat and then go in there and just disconnect from what was causing me problems. And it's so funny because like Bridgerton gives me like very much fairy vibes with the dresses and the flowers and the ornate parties and the dancing and the music. So it was like, it was kind of like I was already wrapped up in that realm before I even knew I was like really, wrapped up in the realm of the Fae. And it's like I would just go in there and like deprive myself of all of the things that are distractions or that keep me in low vibe, and I can go in there and just be. I mean, the same thing, I've tried it with other series and I'm not finding such luck. That doesn't mean I couldn't find such luck. I actually probably could. I just haven't had the time. But, like, even though it's a closet, I made it feel like a room. Like, I took an old couch cushion and turned it a certain way so that it looks like it's a couch. Then I added some pillows to sit on to make it more comfortable. I added, a little blanket, and some towels down to keep it warm in there when it gets too cold. And the blanket is like a rug. And I have a chair that, I just watch I use as my TV stand for my laptop, and my headphones and the light, and I'm good to go. And I just enjoy myself in there. And when I'm ready to come out, or, maybe I've sat too long and I feel a little uncomfortable, then I will come out and go slowly into my room, and that's that. But either way, I come out very renewed and refreshed. But I would recommend don't do a small closet if you can't, because it's like the size of a shoebox, like literally. But I do enjoy myself in there as far as like watching the shows. But that's kind of what it's talking about. Like, so for me, that's my sacred space. But for you, maybe you need to create your own sacred space. And creating it is half the fun, honestly. Realistically, it is. So I would tell you guys, if you look at using feng shui too, if you're needing to use sacred space and creating that for yourself, because feng shui is great tool to use when you need to get energies aligned and they're not. It'll do it for you. Also, I would recommend, before we head over to Patreon, saging your space. You can use white sage, and honestly, I'm someone who is mixed of indigenous and various other cultures. So for me, using white sage isn't an issue. I don't see it being an issue for other people, because truthfully, spirit doesn't necessarily put limitations. As long as you do the work and cleanse and clear, it doesn't necessarily matter to them. We're the ones that make it a problem. So if you need to use white sage, use white sage. You don't need my permission. Just use it. If you don't feel comfortable with that and you just want to use clary, you can do that too. If you want to use whatever you want to use, you use. But make sure it is a cleansing and clearing sage or smudge or incense stick. You can even use incense sticks. When I started in my practice, or you could do like the smudge sprays, totally up to you. But at least make sure it has either sage, Palo Santo. You could do frankincense and myrrh. If you want, the frankincense is great at clearing out negative energy. You can do sandalwood for protection. But make sure it is, something you can do. Florida water. Florida water is great for getting out nasty energies. You can do lilac for protection and cleansing as well. Lilac is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, fragrances to use for cleansing and home protection, which I actually have a guide on my Etsy shop. I probably will upload it to the Patreon since I recommended it to you guys, because it's unique in how I did a lot of work and research, and it also has spell casting stuff in there, like how and what you would use it for. So if you would like that, I already have it. I'm gonna make it probably a PDF for you guys, because I just have to go in and change that setting, but I can do that and share it with you guys on Patreon. Let me know with the likes. Make sure to get the likes up so that way I'll know to share that with you guys next month. But yeah, you can do lilac. And lilac right now, if you want to use lilac, go to Bath & Body Works. They have fresh cut lilacs from like now all the way to summer. And it is, I used to use a hand soap last year, and oh my God, I got so much protection out of that. And then they made it in the body care. So definitely, 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 if you can, and you're like, Luna, I want that, I need that. It's the least inexpensive option I've found that's commercially available, and it does its job. So, so yeah, just letting you guys know. Other than that, I will see you on Patreon for your video for your rites, rituals, spells, and incantations with the Isis Oracle. And until we speak again, I love you guys so much. Bye.